Hello and Merry Christmas! Welcome back to a Techmas world. Hop off our ferret friend here. So it's Christmas Day, of course, and that does mean that we are at the end of the series. Gunther, this is his 14th series now? Hold on, let me check my notes. No, only 12th. 12th series for Gunther. Well, 12th of these series. How did I misplace that block? Ignore that. We're going to pretend like that's not there. So anyway, this year, of course, we did try out a brand new mod for us. One that I've never experienced using before. One that, honestly, I've never even heard of prior to Magma telling us about it. And so it has been a really interesting mod to explore. I do have some gripes about the way the mod works, and some, there's a lot of like fun things that we did here. I do see that there is a lot of potential for this drone port. I do think potentially, in fact, I'm just gonna try something real quick. If we grab this, we'll go out here. We can break stuff at this point because it's not gonna matter. But we have this, right? So if this tree farm does work, by the way. I was getting logs out of it. But if I take that out, pop that, and then if we put in, it deleted all of it. But it does, so it doesn't work, but it does work. It wouldn't work, at all. So my thought process was, one of the things for, I was looking at course. One of the things for this was cross-dimensional, which you attach it to the drone port to enable cross-dimensional transfers. So my thought process was, if you set up another drone port in the nether with the cross-dimensional transport, you could have it so that it then ships lava from the nether back here, and then we could take the empty ones and put them and send them off to the nether to get filled. And the filling aspect of that would work. The problem is the placing aspect clearly does not, as we just lost an entire 260 something buckets of diesel, which is fine. It's whatever. I wasn't going to use it. It's the last episode. We don't need that anyway. So it has potential. You just would have to place them down yourself, which kind of defeats the purpose of it being, what's the word here? Automated. That's the word. It's not automatic then. If I am manually placing down, the only other thing that I'm wondering, or attack, there's that fluid, applicable to the drone port. So that's how you would do it then. So if you were to make one of the fluid things for here, you could then have them transport just the lava itself and not the tanks. So you could make that automatic. Because that's what, this machine, I could have it running so much more often, but I have to keep running back to the nether and getting more lava for it. Which also then means the shale and stuff. The other regret that I have sort of for this season is not having the outputs of these machines be better. Which seems to be kind of a consistent thing, because when you look back at the Chocolate Factory 2 seasons ago, which by far my best season was the Chocolate Factory. The Clock Tower The clock tower was a good season. I don't think that again, I think I ran into a lot of issues with things getting clogged because I didn't have them set up properly. And part of that, I think, is my tendency to try to cram everything into very tight areas. So maybe that's something that we should be working on for the future seasons, but that's, a problem for that. A lot of these machines actually, are quite nice. They're very aesthetic. I do like the appearance of them. Very reminiscent of immersive engineering, which is one of my favorite mods. The only thing I dislike about these things is that I feel like they're very one-dimensional in the sense that, like, you can only do specific things with them, right? Like the create mod, I think, was a lot about like using your brain to like come up with like, how can I utilize this in a way that like is effective, if that makes sense. Like these are like very much like you plop down the assembler, it assembles things. I don't think that there's really anything beyond that. Like I think that the assembler is just what it is. The drone port, I think, has the most like intrigue to me, just because I think the drone port does have other things going for it. Like the ability like to transport the items does give you a chance to like make a more automated base. These refineries, I think, are very one-dimensional. This by far is my favorite thing that we made, and I did spend some time between last episode and this episode just chugging away with some of this, and then I quickly realized there's a lot of stuff up here that needs the Arcane Research Station, which we don't have access to. And that sort of brings us to, well, we'll go downstairs. I built an entire solar panel using these Ultra machine cores. It does produce at 6. We never got up to getting the Promethium because, again, overcharged crystals. That was like sort of our thing. This farm, I did like this farm a lot. It's, again, very, to me, reminiscent of our days of forestry. The forestry farms were a lot of fun, and I do sort of, the only thing that I think with this one is the fertilizer block was a little weird. I think that it makes more sense to compost the things, but it actually benefits us because then we can take all of the seeds that we're making and turn them into biomass, which we have way too much of, because that machine's just constantly running. This engraving station had some interesting uses, stuff that I didn't think was going to be necessary, but then turned out to be very necessary. In a longer series where I actually tried to like fully automate things, I think I would have the Fragment Forge pump out its resources into something like this, and then we would sort it into the clumps and the small clumps and the regular clumps, pump the big clumps back into the machine, or into another one even, perhaps, and then have that, then, ores into clumps, so pump the ores back in, and then pump the clumps into one of these, which, as you can see, I was working on some stuff, and then spin them in here, and then either throw them into a foundry or into the engraver, one or the other. But going down into the basement is where we reach what was supposed to be the sort of ultimate thing for this whole series, and honestly I feel like it was one of the biggest letdowns that we had: the particle accelerator. So as you can see, based on what I was told from last episode, I did remove the thing, and I have it in my inventory. And so it looks like I have to do this, and then we do that, and it still doesn't work. Why don't you? Okay. I didn't mess up one of them, did I? I know that the ring doesn't need to be like this. I know. Okay, why don't you want to fire now? Does it need to be on an empty space? No. That's not your problem. What is your problem? I still do not understand how what this thing's issue is. So, I quite literally, this thing is the worst. Like, why won't you shoot? What is the problem? I don't get it. I seriously don't get it. I looked online, I read Magma's comment. This, by all means, should function, but it doesn't. And that gets me to sort of my first issue with this mod pack, or this mod in particular, is the fact that there's no book. Like, there's no book to tell you how things function. You are expected to just sort of know from what it says. Like, you look at most mods. Oh, is it just because it's nighttime? It might be because it's nighttime. It might be overreacting. The base does sort of cease to function when nighttime falls. Let's head back down and see if it fired. But that still does not negate my comment. My main concern with this mod is simply the fact that it doesn't... No, it didn't. Of course it didn't. Why would it have? Will you fire this instead? No. No, you won't. And there's no way of, like, telling if these things are getting power or not. I mean, they should be. But it's whatever. It's fine. I don't care. But yeah, so like most mods have like a little book that helps you understand the mod. So like, for example, go to book, hit uses on the book, industrial foregoing manual. Now, my issue with that one is a separate thing, but that it tells you how the mod works. It tells you, hey, here's the machine, here's how you utilize that machine. Mystical agriculture. Apparently Apotheosis has one called the Chronicles of Shadows. The engineering manual from Immersive Engineering. Book of Lore from the Aether. Create doesn't have one because Create is sort of like inherent into the mod, where you can just sort of be like, you know, here's the mod. Yeah, look, cooking for blockheads, which isn't really necessary, but, you know, it's still there. But yeah, I'm just saying, what is this? Create. This mod really desperately needs a mod pack. I should not have to rely on the wiki, and that's sort of like a thing that I don't do, is like I don't utilize the wikis for these mods. I think the mods should be sort of intuitive. They should just be able to be like, I should be able to hop in here and just go. Like, there should be a book that says, hey, here's how this thing works, here's how you use it, and that's it. That should be all I should have to worry about. I shouldn't have to worry about, you know, trying to figure out why isn't this thing working, why is my particle accelerator refusing to fire the particles that I'm putting into it. the fertilizer block, for example. How was I ever supposed to know that that required water? Like, nothing indicates that that requires water. And I'm just saying, I feel like the mod really could use a guidebook to be like, here's the block that you're making. Here's how to use that block. And it doesn't have to go into detail as far as all of the functions of the block. Again, one of the things that I like about Create is that it's like, hey, here's sort of like the basis of how this block operates. How you choose to utilize that is up to you. And so, you're able to sit there and sort of come up with these ways of doing these in like a sort of, not necessarily always intuitive, but in a way that allows you to sort of figure it out on your own. Whereas this mod, there's no way that I will ever figure out that particle accelerator. And based on what I was told, and based on what I've done, both in my own research and down there, that should be how that block operates. And that all the things that I read online had that same sort of setup. I mean, granted, I have the guide rings throughout the entire thing, but that, is beside the point. It's definitely bigger than a 7x7, and I don't know what more you could want from that. Another issue that I have with this mod is that it's just machine cores. Like, everything in these, other than the main block, is machine cores. With immersive engineering, right, at immersive, you get a million buckets. No. Immersive engineering sort of has like a variety of different blocks that you need. Fluid router, item batcher, LV accumulators. I didn't mean to click on that. All these blocks that you have to put into the machine in order to build it based on what machine you're building. And I think that that would also really be a nice thing for this mod to have too, is like, rather than just like build a bunch of machine cores. Granted, it makes it a lot cheaper for you to build the machines than it does for immersive engineering, but I think that that's like part of the joy of it, is sort of that progressive buildup of, oh, I need this now for this, I need this to get to here. That progression system of the mod. I think that this mod lacks a little bit of that progression system. It has a progression system, don't get me wrong. Mostly in the sense that you do need some of the early machines in order to make the the bigger ones. I do think you're not gonna make this easily anyway, because you can make these. You can make, well, I mean, not really, because you need to have a pulverizer. So you need at least a pulverizer to get the dubious crystals. Where did the kinetic, or the, yeah, here it is. You need a spinner for that. These you can just make, these you can just make, and then you need a spinner for this. Actually, don't even. You can just, well, I guess in order to get this, you need a spinner. Oh, you don't need a spinner for that. Well, the light naphtha. Yeah. Either way. So you could jump straight to that, is what I'm saying. You could jump straight to a cybernetic augmentation chamber with just a centrifuge and a pulverizer. And I'm just saying, I think that, that's a bit of a jump. I don't like the fact that you can craft the higher tier ingots and stuff, the adamant, right? That should be an alloy. I should not be able to have a crafting recipe for that. Steel should be, again, an alloy, unless you have the dusts. I would be okay if it was you combine steel dust or iron dust, but and then you have to cook it. But the thing is, those resources in real life, right, do require alloying, because they're specifically you need to have them at such a high temperature in order for them to mix properly. Obviously, we're getting into real scientific things, and that's not the point here. Another thing, though, that I do think with this mod is that the Wandering Trader's back again. I do think that it could use an auto crafting. Like almost every other mod has an auto crafting like block. I realize that Minecraft now inherently has an auto crafting block, and that's probably what they just want you to utilize. I dislike the auto crafter in basic Minecraft. I think that it's not particularly well designed for what it needs to be doing, and requires a lot of like finagling in order to get it to function. I think it would be a lot nicer if you just had like a placeable machine block that's like, boom, give me a recipe, I make recipe. That would be nice, but again, it's whatever. At the end of the day, it's fine. But I feel like I'm giving this mod a little bit harder of a time than it really deserves. It is an interesting mod. I do think that there are, like, I do like the looks of a lot of the machines. I do like, you know, sort of what we're able to do. The cybernetic augmentation chamber is a lot of fun. And so, like, I do think that that part of this is actually really enjoyable. I'm also realizing I don't think we ever gave this base a name. I know we said it's a research station, but like I feel like we need to give it a proper name. Just saying like Alpha Inc. Research Station is not like a really cool name. So I'm trying to think of like a cool name for it now. I want to go like Mars and have it be like Mountain. Yeah, Mountain Augmentation Research Station. But I don't kind of like the S being station. But I think it's fine. So we'll call this base Mars, the Mountain Augmentation and Research Station. So there's that. I do have one last thing planned as like a fun little end to the series here. I made a bunch of Heisenberg compensators, plutonium pellets, and then the last thing that we need here, a singular block of TNT. I am now Oppenheimer. We will destroy the world. Honeyed Alpha Inc. Okay, so what we need to do now is teleport to a location. Alright, we're gonna just go blow up Sky City. I never showed you guys Sky City because it wasn't. Ow. We're gonna get chased by the cassowaries. Gotta do this to get up. Oh, there's a zombie chasing me. Usually it's the cassowary. Alright, go up a little higher. I did already loot most of this place. These things actually are not all that interesting. And if I knew which mod they were in, I would have not included it. I'm realizing the dangerous part here is that I need to place this thing and then be able to hit it and also be able to flee from where I am doing that. Do we think if I place it here on top of this building, here, do we think I can shoot it from up here and be safe? I'm gonna try it. This is gonna probably end in me getting absolutely nuked. I missed. Oh! instantaneously, the entire thing is just gone. Oh. Oh my gosh. And that was so close. Like, if I had been any closer to that, that would have maybe actually killed me. Oh my gosh. Scary stuff. But anyway, now that we're done with that, we will bid you a farewell on this very Merry Christmas Day. From the tiniest little employee of Alpha Incorporated. Thank you so much for watching this season. If you guys do have any suggestions for mods that you would like me to see next year, as always, make sure to put them in the comments. I do kind of want to try to see next year if we can get Tinker's Construct back into the mod pack. This year we were close. There was like 2 or 3 versions behind us, so we were almost there. I do have a Twitch channel that we do some streaming on occasionally if you want to catch us on there. But as far as everything else goes, this is going to be it for now. The end of yet another Christmas season here at Alpha Incorporated. And from all of us here at Alpha Incorporated, we wish you the merriest of Christmases, and we will catch you in the next one.